can land and then get back on Air Force One.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. The fleet of Marine Corps helicopters, right over here to the left, we'll show you, has landed, and we are just waiting for the president to arrive. They told us about 15 minutes out, so this may be, if you will, the security convoy. You can see all of the military personnel getting off of that. This is what happens during presidential visits. Some of those are filled with press, some of those are filled with military, but it's our understanding that the president should be landing momentarily here at MSY after a long day all across South Louisiana, touring the hardest hit areas, Lafitte, Grand Isle, Lafourche. He left Galliano. They told us he was actually a little delayed because he wanted to spend more time talking with people, hearing their stories and their needs, which is encouraging to hear because I think that's what everybody wants. They want to make sure that the federal response is intact, is good, it's coordinated, it's not political. So therefore, you can see the fleet of helicopters. Looks like it's arriving. We are awaiting the president's helicopter, probably here momentarily, Sulla and Gina.
Travers, you know, usually during times like this when the president is landing and is in town, security, I know, is in full force. What has security looked like out there?
There's a lot of it, to put it mildly. Anytime there's a presidential visit, it is security like most people have never seen before. I think actually this is the president. Let's see. There, I'm trying to see if he actually steps off of who's getting off of this one. It does not look like that is his helicopter, obviously. I think that's the FEMA director that just stepped off, though. But yeah, the security between Federal Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, as well as JPSO SWAT, it's a heavy, heavy security presence, which is very common. Everybody has to clear a perimeter around here. Everybody has to be checked and screened. So therefore, like I said, we are waiting on Marine One and the president. A lot of people over here, the helicopters that landed to our left seem to just be press corps members from Washington, D.C., members of the National Press Corps, who obviously travel with the president wherever he goes, they go. And so it looks like they're getting them on Air Force One pretty quickly here. I know we're behind schedule, so I think they told them, let's hit the tarmac and then get on. A lot of the camera crews are also setting up. It looks like this helicopter's coming around right now that just landed. Sorry, Sulla and Gina, to our viewers, I apologize. A fleet of helicopters basically all landed at once, but it does look like this one could have the President of the United States on it right now as it pulls around. We're hoping that's the case, and you'll get to see it live right here as the helicopter keeps taxiing around.
Hey, Travers.
And they're making a pretty big turn here, Sulla and Gina, so Travers, we will see. You're watching this live with us. Obviously, we're getting the play-by-play as we go on right here as well. So we're getting the very latest, and you're watching this in real time as the president's about to board Air Force One. So Sulla, Gina, I know we're going to be here live. If you have any questions, feel free to fire away because we are here until the president boards the airplane and heads to Philadelphia.
Travers, we heard in one of those sound bites from folks who live in Terrebonne and Lafourche. We do know that that is the heart of our oil and gas industry, particularly in Louisiana, on terms of policy when it comes to oil and gas. Lots of times people in those areas are at odds with President Biden, but today was not the time for that. Can you talk about that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a great point. You know, we asked these questions to Steve Scalise, to John Kennedy, to our elected leaders. Sometimes D.C. gets so political. Not sometimes, really, it's the world that we live in nowadays. It's so divisive. So we asked, hey, can everybody put politics aside and do what's best for the people of South Louisiana, the business owners, the homeowners? They all said yes, that this is bigger than politics. And we hope that they put their money where their mouth is. Look, a lot of people in the oil and gas business, just like you said, Gina, do not side with the president when it comes to drilling, his moratorium on drilling, also the pipelines that flow to the Gulf. They are not big fans of his policies. But having said that, given the devastation that Port Fourchon, an energy port, and that parts of these rigs are going to deal with in the Gulf of Mexico, I think they know they need Washington, D.C. They need federal help. That's what the federal government is here for. And they also need public-private partnerships to make sure that this lifeblood industry, the oil and gas industry for Louisiana, can recover properly, and like the president said, be bigger and better than it was when Ida made landfall on Sunday, August 29th.
Yeah, so you are continuing to look at some live images here of Marine One landing there at MSY after President Biden toured some of the areas that were hit hardest by Hurricane Ida. We are waiting for him to exit and deboard the helicopter here and then get back onto his Air Force One so he can be on his way en route to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's been here for about 6 hours. He landed here around 1 o'clock this afternoon. A busy day, being briefed by local leaders, along with, Senator Cassidy was by his side, and Congressman Scalise, and various parish leaders there. Now, we heard also from people, Gina and Travers. We've been talking to some, residents out there, along with our reporters, Tom Garris and Michael Armstrong, talking to residents, real people in need, and what the critical need is. We got some mixed emotions from some people, a reassurance and comfort, a level of security, knowing that the Commander-in-Chief, President of the U.S., is in our neighborhood, in our backyards, getting a first-hand account of the damage, the devastation, the critical needs, the immediate needs, and then the long-term needs. We also heard from people who say, hey, you know what, just help us out here. It doesn't matter how it's done. And so we've been hearing that theme, Travers, over and over again, as you talked about unity. And there he is walking out with Governor Edwards.
Yeah, look, he's with Sulla and Gina. He's with Governor John Bel Edwards. About 20 yards behind them is Cedric Richmond. The FEMA director is behind him. So, yeah, he's having one last chat, it looks like, with Governor John Bel Edwards, both talking about what they need for this state. But this was a lengthy visit by the president. And I know that John Bel Edwards and his staff laid out their critical needs, what they need for this state, both on the short term and the long term. It looks like they're wrapping everything up, and the president is getting the salute, and he is boarding Air Force One as John Bel Edwards follows him right there. So we will have a full recap of all of this. We're going to stay with this until Air Force One obviously takes off. And there you can see right here, here is basically the federal point person now, Cedric Richmond, on the ground, a senior advisor to Joe Biden, a congressman who represented some of the hardest hit areas, like parts of St. John the Baptist Parish, like parts of St. James Parish, all the way up the river region. He's familiar with these areas, and now he will be a direct connection between South Louisiana and the White House when it comes to recovery in this state from Hurricane Ida. So the president is on board. The media contingent looks like they're going through their credentialing process, and they will board, and then everybody else will board, and Air Force One will take off probably sometime in the next, I would imagine, 10 to 15 minutes. They do get the plane out of here pretty quickly when the president boards, and I know he's a little bit behind schedule, so therefore they are definitely trying to, it looks like, work with haste here and get this contingent of people out of here and back to, I know they're going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, then after that they're going to Washington, D.C., Gina and Sulla.
Yeah, and earlier we heard the president as he was addressing the public and some neighbors there in Laplace, making a few promises to the people of Louisiana. I know a big concern we've been hearing, Travers, has been about insurance companies denying coverage and people having difficulty with that. And he made a promise here, to quote him, he said, "We are putting as much pressure as we can, calling on private insurance companies, don't hide behind fine line and technicality." He also said $100 million in critical assistance directly paid to people already, many people getting $500 in their bank accounts. He also promised transitional shelter assistance by covering hotel bills and making sure that this kind of relief is available right away for folks out there dealing with the aftermath. And he also reiterated the assistance from FEMA. We've been talking to FEMA officials all week long. Right now, crews from 32 different states are here helping out with all the critical needs, including infrastructure and also the direct needs we've been talking about. So he promised when he was talking to people in Laplace that he's heard from residents, he's heard from government officials and leaders, seen the account firsthand, and promised to help and put his full resource behind the people of Louisiana.
And Travers, more of the direct needs that we were talking about is interesting for all of this to play out. One of the critical needs that we've been talking about all afternoon is the need for fuel. Fuel helps a lot of things go faster or quicker in the recovery process, and it helps people even power their generators. But as we see critical needs and services not be here, conditions start to deteriorate. And actually, while people were begging President Biden to do more about fuel, we actually saw someone lose their life on the ground because of just how scarce the resource is and how tempers can flare. Just an example of, how the situations can escalate after when you're out of power for days.
Yeah, no, Gina, you're absolutely right. And I think that when we look back, when they write the book on Hurricane Ida, there'll be destruction and there'll be devastation in some of these parishes. But one of the biggest pitfalls, one of the biggest problems will be the lack of gasoline. And look, there were no mandatory evacuations in places like New Orleans unless you lived outside the levee protection system or Jefferson Parish low-lying areas. Lafourche and Terrebonne called mandatory evacuations relatively late in the grand scheme of things because this storm rapidly intensified. So therefore they tried to get people out. A lot of people couldn't. A lot of people stuck around and stayed. Now they're trying to either fill up their cars because they're here, or they're trying to get out now, and there is no gas. All of these gas stations ran out. Earlier today, hours ago, when we were here, we talked to Cynthia Lee Shang, and she brought up the fact that this didn't happen after Hurricane Katrina, and one of the reasons it didn't happen after Hurricane Katrina is because the city was evacuated for weeks after Hurricane Katrina, and really, for all practical purposes, neighboring Jefferson Parish. So when people did get back weeks later, they didn't have this gas problem. Right now, there were so many people in Metro New Orleans and then down the bayou, if you will, Lafourche, Terrebonne, places like that, that's why gas became such a big issue. Here comes the governor. We're going to try to see if we can grab him. I don't know if that's going to be possible. He has his white shirt and his mask on. He's with his security team. We're going to try to wave him over. I don't know if he's going to come over. He's a busy man, and I can't imagine that we can grab him for a live interview. We're going to try our hardest here, Gina and Stella, because we want to hear what he has to say. I'm kind of waving at him right now to see if he'll come over. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like his security detail is taking him probably back to the governor's mansion in Baton Rouge. So here's Congressman Cedric Richmond. We're going to try to get... All right, Gina and Stella, it looks like the governor and Cedric Richmond are both leaving right now. Cedric Richmond not flying back to D.C. on Air Force One, but it looks like he's going to meet with the governor, which is good because they got a lot to discuss, Gina and Stella.
Yeah, the point person there, the liaison, because he knows firsthand what it's like. He, is from Louisiana. And as we watch these images of Governor John Bel Edwards, Cedric Richmond there in Air Force One, departing from the runway there,